Hey, I'm Supats, lifelong solopreneur. Now living my life with only one passion to help solopreneurs to launch their digital products on fast track so that they can be profitable as fast as within 1 week, and they want to scale, they can join the membership. And as a bonus, I show them how they can sell their digital products all over the world using affiliates. Without further delay, let's get started. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to New Beginning Inspiration for You podcast. And we are excited over here. We have another amazing, inspiring guest here for you. And hey, it is a trending topic about AI. When I started my digital business, AI was not there at all. And when AI become prominent, I started putting AI modules into every product I created, every e-course I created. And AI is the hot field. And I'm getting so many questions about AI. And just there are too many questions, and I don't think I answered all, but hey, for that we have our today's guest, Alexander Harmsen. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
That was good.
Okay. So yeah, I think for me it is easy to call you Alex because I have a couple of friends. Them, yeah, I call them Alex. So yeah, that is easy for me. So he will answer all your questions because he is passionate about AI and he's passionate about many other things, and he will tell you about those. So without further delay, let me invite Alex. Alex, stage is all for you. Let's get started. I want to know about your journey. How did you get started into your business? What motivated you?
Sue, thanks for having me on. I love it. We can absolutely dive into all aspects of AI. And, I've been working on AI since before it was cool, before we really talked about LLMs and AI, working on deep learning systems before it was called, deep learning, just neural nets. I've built multiple businesses in AI, sold a business, advised multiple AI businesses. Now I'm running a company called portfoliopilot.com, which is an AI financial advisor for individuals and DIY investors. I mean, the main idea is that, while we're probably not quite at the point where we can trust AI with all of our money yet, the idea that you could use AI and some hedge fund inspired models to optimize your portfolio, get a second opinion on your finances, model out retirement in a smarter, more personalized way, feels like it's hit the spot. We already have about 30,000 users on the platform, $30 billion of assets on the platform. And it's just growing like crazy. Like you said, we're including AI in almost everything that we do, from marketing to software development to thinking about, integrated AI assistance to the platform, to data labeling, to automatically doing verification and finding bugs in the software stack, and being able to explain what's happening in an easier way to sort of regular investors, to like really adding in advanced machine learning forecasting models and recommender engines. It has been a wild couple of years. We're a 10-person team now, but I think we're probably operating at the same velocity and output as a 25-person team I was running before with
Oh,
Iris
wow.
Automation.
Yeah, means AI actually can increase your productivity like crazy. Means there's so
Like
many things which
crazy.
you can really delegate to AI, because people ask question, will AI take my job? And I always respond to them, AI will make you more productive.
I,
And
I
there are
think so.
so many mechanical things you can surely delegate to AI. And AI works actually many times better than you, because sometimes you might forget to send an email, but hey, if you already set the automation with AI won't forget. AI will do its job properly. So it is a tool. It depends on how you are going to use it. I don't think you should be basically scared of losing your job. But of course, means if you want to keep your job and if you want to become more productive, AI is a great tool and you can use it in every possible way. So you said you use it AI into so many fields and so many areas. So can you give some idea for small business owners or entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, because they wear many hats?
Mm.
So what things they can delegate to AI and how they can delegate to AI so that they can free up their time and they can be more productive?
So many different ideas. One, let me just shoot out a bunch of like very specific examples. I think where we use ChatGPT or Claude, in a like a very simple way, is that before we, I think you used to have spell check, or you probably still have spell check, right, in Google Docs or
Yeah, yeah.
Word. I think
Uh-huh.
about using ChatGPT as spell check these days. And so say we're like publishing a YouTube video and we have a script, and before our marketing person sends me the script to review it, I ask them to send it to ChatGPT, and we have a fairly standard way that we write scripts, and we know what works and what doesn't work and lessons learned. And you should ask and do a second review with AI before you even send it to me. And the idea isn't, it's oftentimes the prompt is something like, here's our style guide for Portfolio Pilot. Here's the kind of audience that we're going after. There's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 paragraphs of a template that says all of our marketing material should be like this, should be easy to understand. And, we don't want to come across as some arrogant know-it-all. We want to, be more like your, slightly smarter cousin, who's done this before, that you can go to, for advice. And, we want to explain it in a reasonable way. We assume our audience is fairly smart, but like wants practical advice. It needs to conform to a bunch of SEC compliance restrictions, because we're actually a registered investment advisor with the SEC. And so there's a whole bunch of rules that come into place there. And then we ask it for 10 very specific edits and improvements to this script or this email or this marketing message or this ad, whatever it is. And then of the 10 improvements, oftentimes we take 3 or 4 of the improvements. I think it's very important to not just blindly trust it and take every single thing, but the chance that it doesn't come up with at least a few things that can be improved. Sometimes it's spelling mistakes. Sometimes it's grammatical issues. Sometimes, they say, well, it's interesting, but it's not quite punchy enough. Why don't we make the title, something more like this? Or like, you didn't include the disclosure in this, in this post. Things that probably I would have caught in the second review, or our compliance team would have caught, in the third review before it actually went live. But if our marketing person themselves can catch this right away, can iterate with it, it just saves so much cycle time. I find that, one of the biggest things that slows down company velocity and company building is that there's lots and lots of reviews and meetings, and we sit on things. It's rarely the time it takes to create, to write an email or to make an advertisement. It's all the other stuff around it, around reviewing it and refining and getting it really, really, really good. And so there's the very specific example for something like this. The other part, if we're just talking about marketing, for example, we sent out in 2024, we sent out about 1 million emails. And so, 30,000 users, and obviously we send multiple emails. We have weekly summary emails for people's portfolios and macro market updates, and there's a bunch of marketing emails, and we send emails. You sign up for the product, you get a verification link, right? You upgrade to our gold trial, and we send you a congratulations. Here's a video walkthrough to get started. Things like that. And so, 1 million sounds crazy, but it's not so crazy. Even just our marketing email, we send on average, probably once every week and a half. And so throughout the year, we had 40 different marketing emails. And what we did was we took all our marketing emails and we attached the open rates, the click-through rates, which buttons were pressed, the audience that they got sent to. And we gave it to, I think probably like this new, in ChatGPT, you have this like more advanced like O3 model. And we gave it a whole bunch of this context.
Preview, yeah.
And said, okay, call out some patterns, what's working, what's making our emails, what's increasing the open rates, and what's increasing the click-through rates, and what decreases the click-through rates, and what decreases the open rates. And it spent, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 minutes thinking and reviewing. And then it came back and said, the number one difference between emails that get clicked on and don't get clicked on is that we mentioned some very specific value add for the user. And so there's a bunch of emails where we say,
so value add in the user, that is in the subject line or in the body?
Subject line in the preview. And so we said, there's a lot of emails where we said like big news or big announcement or like we're really excited about this. Those were terrible emails. They did not get opened. But if we said something like, we fixed this problem with your Chase accounts, or we launched a new feature around tax optimization, or we improved the AI assistant and it can now answer twice as many questions as before. There's something about being specific. It's immediately if I'm receiving the email, I can understand that I can get some value out of this if I spend my time to open it. And then in the email itself, we realize that if we include a button, if we include a big bright blue button call to action right after the first paragraph, like basically above the fold, the click-through rate increases by about 2 times.
Huh.
This is one of those things it's so easy. From now on, every single email that goes out is going to have, some big button, right? It could be, we did a big upgrade in our recommendation engine. That's the first sentence. And then a button that says, go check it out, right? It could be as simple as that. It could be, we launched the new video walkthrough, go to our YouTube channel to check out some of the videos. It could be, in 2024, our portfolio pilot users saved $12 million on taxes, use it. And, so then the CTA is something like, check out how much you can save, or, go see if there's tax loss harvesting opportunities waiting for you in your portfolio. It's so small. And maybe if I spent, a couple days really writing, going through all these newsletters and writing out what could be the case and verifying it and putting some numbers to it, I would have been able to call out similar insights. But if I have ChatGPT and it takes 5 minutes, it is wild to me that everybody is not doing this, to call out simple analysis and analytics. And, we're trying to figure out how to increase our SEO right now, right? How do more people find Portfolio Pilot on the web? And so I'm currently trying to think about, sure, you could use AI to write some articles, but, is that good? Is that bad? There's way more to it than just writing some articles, right? Whether it's the keyword research or technical SEO or how fast the pages load. And like, why do we have great click-through rates on some articles and poor click-through rates on other articles? What should we do about our programmatic SEO? The wild thing is, on our basically, we track, tens of thousands of different macro trends and 50 or 60,000 different securities and mutual funds and ETFs. And, we're never going to rank high for a page about Apple, right? That's going to be Bloomberg and Fidelity and CNBC and Yahoo Finance. But we might be able to rank high for a page with, I don't know, like we have some stock screener and we have a smart filter in the stock screener. We might be able to rank high for a search about, companies that 100x'd in the last 2 years. Who else is writing about that? Maybe one blog on the internet, someone wrote that. The fact that we can do that programmatically allows us to generate tens of thousands of pages like that. And so I used a tool recently called Magic Patterns, and never heard of it before, seemed kind of interesting. The idea is like I could take my programmatic SEO page, take a screenshot of it, put it into Magic Patterns, and ask it, what can I improve about this page? And it redesigned the page and simplified some of the language and moved some buttons around. And it said this table is too long. And I said, okay, now help me optimize it for SEO. And it said, like, at the end of the day, like, the only thing that really matters with SEO is, the click-through rate and how useful the page is, which we just worked on, and how fast the page loads. And the fact that you have this big image at the top, that doesn't load right away, you should instead have some, lower bandwidth, lower resolution, not an image, but just some interesting like React GIF, that comes with some native library that's already built in, blah, 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 bunch of technical stuff about like page loading. But the fact that it thought about all these different pieces, that I could just ask it, tell it what's important to me. And then like before, we only took 40% of the suggestions, right? The other 60% we said, it's a little bit over the top. If we had unlimited engineering resources, then sure, we can do all that. The 40% here is like absolute low-hanging fruit. Let's just do it right now. And there's, I think, 1,000 examples like that. What I would like,
No.
and I haven't figured this out yet, but I was listening to a podcast with someone else. What I would like is some AI that plugs into my Google Calendar and my Gmail, and is able to search the web and look at LinkedIn and give me sort of a brief summary of every meeting I have for the day with a little bit of background research. Right? I have a podcast with Sue at 11 a.m. Here's a little bit of information about the New Beginning podcast. Here's her like LinkedIn bio. Oh, she's done all these really impressive things throughout her life. Would have saved me 5-10 minutes before this podcast to do a little bit of research and understand the audience and the size and all this. And so that's one thing on my list. I can't imagine someone hasn't solved that yet. Probably it's a little bit of Google searching. I'll ask GPT after this the podcast to see how to figure that out.
That is a really smart way. I got so many points. First of all, you mentioned that how you are setting your brand voice, how you are personalizing it. So it is not a generic output you are looking from ChatGPT or whichever tool you are
Right.
using, and that is so critical because if you don't personalize, means the output is as great as input, right? So you are doing your due diligence and you are setting up the prompt properly. That is really good. And you mentioned that how it would have taken so many times, and yeah, the bureaucracy and going through each and every paper and all, yeah, it is time consuming. But here how the AI is working smart and you are doing that. And I have a question. You mentioned the blue button after first paragraph. Is the color specific? Because I also heard that red is also very
Yeah,
enticing because red
blue.
tells
Honestly,
to
blue is. I
stop.
think it's important that it's bright and it's colorful. Blue is like very core to like
Okay.
all of our CTAs in the product itself and our
Okay,
marketing.
so that's your brand color.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Portfolio Pilot
Okay.
Blue.
And yeah, and again, you also mentioned about SEO, and it is so hard for small businesses to overcome. Means basically big companies and come on the top. First of all, see, I have some keywords. I was doing research, and the keywords I was looking at. for my company, they were like high volume, but they are high competition too.
Right.
And when I was looking at those keywords, it is not just on first paragraph, even second paragraph, there were sponsored content.
Mm.
So if I want to promote my site, or if I want to promote any of my content without advertisement, the best chance I can get is to be on the third page. And how many times users are going on the third page? So it is so important to have a great SEO strategy for small business owners, because big companies, they have a huge SEO budget, they have a team, and they have so many keywords. So we just cannot compete, and plus they are doing ads. We, as a small business owner, we cannot compete with them. And this magic pattern, I didn't know anything about the magic pattern, but now I'm going to try that. That's really seems to be like a cool tool, and surely I will do that. And it is really important that any AI tool will take away the blank screen syndrome, so that you can have the outline done by AI, and then once your draft is ready, you can pass it through AI, and AI can make it better. It will correct some grammatical mistakes and spelling mistakes, and it will make your writing better. But the crust, the core of the content, it's coming from your brain. It is coming from your strategy, and that you cannot really delegate to AI. And also, what you mentioned, that was so important, that you are not going to take each and every suggestion from AI, and also you are not going to take suggestion directly without reading and
Mm.
editing, because I think most of the people, they just depend too much on AI, and whatever output is coming, they are just taking it and putting it, and it is not a wise idea. So we got nuggets after nuggets from your this talk, and I really appreciate. So will you please tell me more about you mentioned about portfoliopilot.com.
Mm.
So what does this website do? What kind of services you provide, and who is your ideal customer profile to whom you can help?
Yeah. So I ran an AI company from 2015 to 2021, and we sold the company to a big partner of ours, backed by a private equity fund. And then in 2021, it was kind of craziness with COVID, and my wife and I had our first kid. Now we have two
Oh,
boys, two
congrats.
toddlers, super cute.
Oh, wow.
They're amazing. My wife runs her own company as well, and we bought a house in the Bay Area, in San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh, Bay Area, you are my neighbor. I live in the Bay Area. Wow.
Oh, excellent.
Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Huh?
I used to be in Canada, and I'm very happy to be rid of the snow. To go visit Lake Tahoe once in a while is enough for me. But I mean, basically, we started talking to financial advisors and wealth managers and private bankers, and it sort of felt like everyone said they were an expert, but I wasn't meeting very many actual experts. It felt like a lot of salespeople I was talking to. There was actually very little personalization that they could provide. A lot of people wanted to bring me in and show me, this is amazing. Look at our past performance and look at, everything we do and consider. But then, I'm going to take your risk profile and put you in a very specific fund. And it's the same fund as, all of our 1,000 other clients. And whether it's true or not, I like to think I'm special. And I have interesting needs. I'm running a business, and I have kids, and I have a house, and I have a situation with my wife's company, and I have a little bit of crypto investments, and I have an IRA and this 401k, and it kind of felt to me like the only other option besides like robo advisors and human financial advisors sort of felt like fairly standard, oftentimes like lowest common denominator advice. And I didn't want to become a day trader. It kind of felt to me like the only other option was, really get into investing, make it a hobby, figure out, there's lots of different trading tools and everything from Wall Street bets to, Motley Fool to different visualizers to, stock portfolio breakdown, whatever. Lots of different charting software and technical analysis, but I didn't really want to do that. I like the idea of building a company, having impact, on a massive scale. And so what I really wanted was I wanted, an advisor that isn't managing my money for me, but just giving me advice. I wanted some second opinion. The idea was, if I could buy or build some software that would connect to all of my different accounts, take into account my real estate, think about my long-term goals, my short-term liquidity needs, think about the cash that I have, maybe think about taxes, the fact that I have kids, look at markets and macroeconomics, and, inflation is a big deal. What do I do about inflation? Should I act on that or not act on that? Think about crises and, run a bunch of different simulations. And so initially it started as some project just for myself. And then eventually it turned into this company, portfoliopilot.com, that now has, over $30 billion of assets on the platform. We actually became a registered investment advisor with the SEC so that we can give actual fiduciary financial advice. And when I say we, I mean the software gives it. Like, there's no humans involved. There's no human bias. We are trying to get rid of us many different conflicts of interest. And at the end of the day, I think what people really like about the product is that, you can simply just go to the website, sign up with a free account. People connect, they can take a screenshot of one, Robinhood account, Fidelity, whatever it is, or you can manually type in your numbers, or you can connect it automatically through Plaid or Yodlee. And then we give you a full assessment. So we basically connect it through to these models that we have in AI, and we'll tell you, Sue, this is what's working really well for you, and your risk is really good, and your risk adjusted returns are great. But if inflation really spikes up again, then things are going to look really bad for you. Or you're paying way too much in fees. Look at all these mutual funds, or there's this opportunity for you to roll over your 401k into an IRA and save this amount every year. Here's some tax loss harvesting opportunities, or there's a bunch of idle cash just sitting in this account, not invested at all. I mean, there's lots and lots of different ways that it can give that assessment. And then if you actually want the real personalized financial advice, then you can upgrade to a $20 a month plan. And that's it. We wanted to make it really accessible. If you upgrade, then you can actually get this financial advice. After a 2-week free trial, we've really tried to make it as easy as possible for people. I think even if you have a financial advisor, you should use this as a second opinion assessment. And similar to everything we've been talking about with all these AI tools, a lot of it is just about iterations. Right? So we've gone through 600 iterations, right? I think it'll take another 1,000 iterations, before we ring the bell on the New York Stock Exchange. And so it's lots of these little changes and making it easier. And, we want it to be simple, but powerful. And, if you go and talk to your advisor, there's something about understanding all these different pieces of my life in a single place to then give, actual holistic financial advice. And, that's what we're trying to get to.
I think we really need your services. So first of all, let me tell you, you are saying $30 billion management. It is more than a small country's economy. So it is a huge portfolio. Yeah, means it is not at all modest. And second of all, yeah, you mentioned my name, but in my family, our roles are very well
Hmm.
defined. That my husband makes money and he takes care of money. My role is only to spend money. I don't take any other action related to
Hmm.
money. So I think I should tell it to my husband. And I remember once I had been to a bank and generally I go to ATM, but this time I had to go to a checker, and she looked at my account and she said, "You must be crazy." I said, "Okay, why? What happened?" She said, "Nobody puts so much money into checking account. Why do you have so much money in the checking account? You don't get any interest, and why?" So she told me, "This amount, this is crazy. Nobody." So then I came home. I told my husband that this is what the banker said, and my husband, "Oh, it just gives me a peace of mind that so much liquid cash is there." So I have no idea. So what he thinks, but it is like a idle money sitting and not getting any interest. But hey, it is just giving him peace of mind. I have no idea. So I think
I think
I
this is
should
a huge
tell
part of it,
him to
right?
get into your software.
There's a
You mentioned that.
psychology that's like very important. You know, we've spent 3 years now, trying to figure out how do we give good financial advice to people. And very often this is the case, right? We tell someone objectively, according to the math and the models, you should do this. And we allow people to say like, yes, this is a good suggestion, I'm going to act on it, or ignore it. I don't want to see stuff like this. And we tried to figure out, why is someone ignoring this suggestion? And they say, well, maybe for other people this is a good idea, but for me, I actually care about XYZ, or I have a whole bunch of money here because I am planning to buy a house soon. And so we say, okay, how do we include that in the software? How do we include this feedback? Or, wow, okay, we're suggesting someone spends $52,000 on buying this fund, and they say $52,000. Technically, I can do it, but that's so much money. The max I would ever move in a single day is $4,000. Okay, that's fine, right? Other people will do it. That's different for you. It's like, oh, I would never sell anything without understanding the tax impact. Or what I really want to do before I make any trade, just to make sure it's not impulsive, I want to put it into my checkout cart. I wanted to put it into a draft portfolio. I want to do some comparisons. Wait 1 week, get a reminder, and then next week I will go and execute it, just to make sure that it doesn't feel, I read something on the news, or I listened to a friend or a podcast and made a trade right away. And so like there's a huge psychology. Actually in the onboarding process, we ask a lot of people questions. What the first question is like, what do you want to get out of Portfolio Pilot? Right? Why are you signing up? Some people just want to see everything all in the same place, right? Just a portfolio tracker. Some people want to reduce their risks and their increased downside protection, and think about, they're worried about some sort of crisis and market crash. Some people just want to increase their risk adjusted returns. But the thing that always ends up in the top two is, I want to feel more confident about my finances. And it's intangible. It means something different to everybody, but it's so core, I think. Almost everybody wants this. And so if we can help people feel a little bit more confident, even if they take zero advice, even if they don't pay for it, even just seeing everything together in one place, I would be very happy about that. And that's been a driving
So
force
yeah.
for us, since the beginning.
Yeah, that is really great to know. You mentioned that you have a $20 per month charge for ongoing services. So, how much money is invested? I mean, if I want to get access to your
Hmm.
software, how much should I invest into the software? What is the initial
So
charge?
that the thing is, we don't actually manage the money. So you keep it in your own account. You keep it in your crypto wallet, or your bank account, or your investment account, or your 401k IRA. You don't need to give us your money. You can attach it or import it or take a screenshot of it, and our system will track it. And it will, we can give financial advice on the money that you already have. And so we wanted to make it very low friction to get started. It's kind of like, if you have some friend that you trust and you say, hey, just take a second opinion, or say you go to a doctor and you get an assessment, Sue, I'm very, sorry about this, but, we have this problem with your leg, you know, and, we should do this treatment. I think it's very reasonable to say, okay, doctor, I trust you, but let me get a second opinion. Talk to a different doctor, and he says, you know what, I think maybe if we did it this other way, it would be less painful, cost less money, we'd be fixed better. And then it leads to a much more interesting conversation, probably better medical advice. But we don't do this very often with our finances, right? Our finances are so personal. I think it's difficult to, if you're working with a financial advisor, to go to another financial advisor and ask for an opinion. It feels almost blasphemous. Also, I think that many services out there require you to move your money and commit to the new financial advisor to get any advice, to get any usefulness out of it. Even your initial question, right? What's the minimum I need to spend to start getting some financial advice? We want the answer to that question to be $0.
Oh, wow. Then we feel it is too good to be true. What can you say then? Hey,
Maybe. I mean,
there must be a
it's
catch. Okay.
no catch. The wild thing is
Okay.
it's AI and it's completely automated, right? And so I mean, even on the front page of our website, we have a comparison between Portfolio Pilot and human financial advisors, and we say, look, both of us have fiduciary responsibility. One costs $20 a month, and the other one costs hundreds or maybe thousands of dollars a month. 90 to 98% cheaper. We human financial advisors, often you have to book a meeting, or you can do a quarterly call or a semi-annual call. With Portfolio Pilot, you can ask questions, at 3 a.m. or right after this podcast, whenever you want. It's always available. There's, the idea of eliminating human bias is a huge thing. Naturally, there's conflicts of interest and human bias that gets involved in everything. And so, like, trying to remove that as much as possible, make the product better and better and better. This idea, I mean, similar to what we were talking about before with analyzing all of these different newsletters, the fact that we can analyze tens of thousands of different trends and securities and macro trends and, look at your specific portfolio, but also look at 30,000 other people's very specific portfolios at the same time. I mean, maybe we should be charging more. I think it's quite rare. If people really find value from the product, it's quite rare that people say, "Oh, if you were only charging $15 a month, then I would pay for it." $20 is too much. It's very rare that we get that people are price sensitive, and what we really hope is that it pays for itself, right? That will save people enough money with even the fairly simple stuff that it pays for itself. I think the real catch is that we have some incredible investors, and being in Silicon Valley and having exited my previous company, what I really want is millions of people using this.
Yeah, that is really great, great goal you have. It is very noble goal. And means basically, I don't think people creep about prices because I started my membership. My founding members price was really low. It's a business scaling. It's nothing related to basically portfolio, the work what you
Mhm.
do. It is a different one. But I got it evaluated by various agencies that okay, tell me the value of my membership, and the report I got was really shocking because most people came back and they told me that your membership is worth of $199 per month, and you are charging only 39 per
Oh,
month.
wow.
So people are basically, they are having doubts because my membership is loaded with like a $50,000 worth of resources plus hands-on help, and there are lots of things. So they say people have doubt that how can someone give so much with so less
Hmm.
price. So he said if you really want um, clients who can respect you and your membership, you have to raise your prices. So I'll be raising my prices. Of course, I'll be raising gradually, but means basically so that people will know the value. So hey, I'm just telling that what that is the strategy I'm
Mhm.
using. And so yeah,
I like that.
anyway, means
I
yeah,
think
you
that's
know
like
it better, you know more about the
I
money
think people are very
management, so I'm
worried
just
about raising their prices, right? But like absolutely the price is relative to the quality and the value that you get
oh
from
yeah,
it
of
and like
course you have to bring the
acts as
value.
a like very powerful signal as well.
Yeah, that's why means I got evaluated, because I didn't want to, because your business is your baby, and according to you means in your own eyes it is the best thing after the sliced bread. So hey, but if some third party is getting, yeah, the opinion and they are telling you what it is, then yeah, it has some value, and it is again not just one. We got it evaluated by many. So I just wanted to ask you, we are almost at the end of our episode. So if someone wants to find you or someone wants to follow
Mhm.
you, of course you mentioned your website, but what other channels, where else they can find you and they can follow you?
Yeah, Twitter is the easiest way. It's my handle is Alex Harm, ALEXHARM. That's it. Super simple. I mean, post about Portfolio Pilot, but also just like random tech stuff and AI things I see online, and a funny meme once in a while.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you coming and blessing our community. Our community is like our family. And hey, first action, what I'm going to take is I'm going to recommend your company to my husband, because he is the one who takes care of all the finances, is my family. And yeah, we will stay connected and we'll collaborate. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate your
Thanks for having me
insights.
on, Sue.
Really.
Even if we get one more
Yeah,
customer and we have one more person feels confident about their finances, I would be happy about that. And
yeah.
anyone listening, feel free to reach out. We try to be really responsive, and like I said, we're constantly trying to make the product better. If you have any feedback at all, we'd love to hear it. Especially sounds like there's a lot of
Thank you.
entrepreneurs and business people in the audience as well. And so reach out. Happy to connect.
Thank you. Thank you. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We are blessed to have you as part of our community, and whatever way we can help you, serve you, let us know. Please subscribe and let us know how we can help you, what resources you want. We have lots of free resources and also free collaboration joint venture groups you can join and explode your business, because most solopreneurs quit their business before they launch their first products, and I don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we have special launch service where you can monetize your digitals and become profitable as fast as within 7 days. And if you want to scale your business, join our membership New Beginning Success Collaboration, where we'll provide you MRR and PLR products and collaborations so that you can scale your business with ease and effortlessly. And hey, if you want to sell your digitals all over the world, yes, we will provide you affiliates more than 200 countries. So everything is possible. Just live your dream, follow your dream, and whichever way we can help you, do let us know. Thank you and God bless you.